Guys, Voxbox90 here with another Musings video, which I haven't done in a little while since my Modern Masters Musings, but I thought I'd do another Musings video kind of thinking about the future of Magic and format. So this one, I came across a thread I thought was interesting and I wanted to discuss my thoughts. This guy asked about the M10 dual lands rotating out finally from our core set standard mix. So the reasons he brings up I pretty much agree with, that we've been using the lands for a bunch of years and standard has been full of them for quite a while, so they could potentially leave. Next block is not going to be multicolored the way that Ravnica was, so you may not need the perfect mana base we have now. And of course, also unlike most settings in Ravnica, every two-color combination is equally supported, even enemy ones. And if they reprint the M10 duels, they would have to also consider the Innistrad lands for balance, and chances are they're not going to reprint all 10. Also agree with that point. Although, of course, we'll probably see reprint of the Innistrad ones later on. If you look at them, they have pretty generic names, and they're very useful. So I'm sure we'll see the Innistrad enemy duels at some point. But anyway, that's pretty much the concept behind the discussion. M10 duels rotating out, I think, is a viable argument. They've been around for a while. Their value is just not there because they're constantly being used, and we have the shock lands. They're going to be in standard for a while, so I could see the check lands leaving. I could see that. So the question is, what would the next core set use to kind of cover that? So there's a bunch of options. The first and foremost and least likely is the fetch lands. They could bring back the Onslaught and or Zendikar fetch lands, which are in need of a reprint at some point, and that could be the first option. Whether that's the Onslaught or the Zendikar, both are very expensive now. I don't see it happening for the same reason I don't see the next group of lands I'm talking about coming back. The reason why is, one, Wizards is not such a fan of the fetch lands. I mean, they made them, they exist, they're very useful, but in terms of the format, they just are a hassle, because you play them, you put them down, you need to shuffle the searcher, shuffle it, put it out. They're also pain lands, so a lot of newer players are kind of scared off by losing life because they don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate the loss of life because they're like, it's happening with the shock lands all the time, where people are like, oh, I have to lose 2 life to make it untap. That's ridiculous. This hurts me. The basic land's good. So of course, anyone who plays for a while knows this. But many of the newer players who especially come on during core set time, who learn how to play, the pain for the land is just not very catchy. And so why it would be in a core set is beyond me. I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen that way. Of course, it's a very time-consuming device, so I don't think fetch lands are likely, although they will probably be, I think, in the next year, maybe 2 years. We'll see a reprint of some of them at least. Similar problem goes with the pain lands, which was the next thought I had. Those are the lands that they tap for a colorless, and they can tap for a dual color, but you lose a life. Again, the pain lands kind of hurt casual players. They are afraid to use it, and they're worried about the whole loss of life. I personally don't think it's a big issue, but also I've heard judges complain about having to manage who lost life from it, because it's like, he lost life, no, she lost life. Look, I tallied more life. This is how many times you tap the land for that color. It's just, it becomes more hassle necessarily than it's worth. And again, I think the pain option is going to keep it from the core set. So what does that leave us with if the pain lands are not likely to be there? So we can have the filter lands, as they're called, which see a lot of play in Modern. Again, know that Wizards wants to make Modern a new thing, so filters seem likely as an option for reprint, although I don't think that necessarily be in the core set because we have the shocks. So already we have such good mana fixing. The filters are designed for serious mana fixing. So why would you want to run that when you have all the shocks? I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see those. So the most likely versions I'm thinking that we'll see some variant of will be the lands from Future Sight. These are all like designs that were for the future. So since they mentioned they are considering a new land type, they may draw on this. Most likely, I think, especially with shocks around, a card like Nimbus Maze is going to be the new duel. That is my speculation. We're going to see Nimbus Maze-like cards. Nimbus Maze is when you tap to add, let's say, a white in this case, you can only play that ability if you control an island in play as well. and to tap to add a blue only if you control the planes. And it can tap for one color. So the penalty is kind of like the check lands, not even necessarily better or worse, and it's kind of a nice variant. Will that be the sort of thing they do? I don't know, but that would be, I think, my speculation would be something like that. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's going to be something new? And if so, what would that new thing be? And if not new, which do you think is most likely? Whether you agree with me or not, I'd like to hear what you think in the comment section below. As well, check out my channel sponsors in the description. And as always, Rox Box 90 signing out. I'll see you guys next time.